Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to In Deep Geek. This is an explanation of Season 1, Episode 5 of Game of Thrones, The Wolf and the Lion, in the light of all we now know. Obviously, if you haven't caught up to the end of Season 6, then be wary of spoilers. Tyrion arrives at the Eyrie as Catelyn's prisoner. At this stage, Kat's actions aren't general knowledge, and Tyrion has spent most of the journey trying to convince her of his innocence, whilst simultaneously letting everyone within earshot know that an extremely generous reward will be on offer for his safe return, a fact Bronn clearly takes note of. Kat's choice of destination here is interesting. She understandably thinks that her sister, Lysa Arryn, will help her when she arrives on her doorstep with such an important political prisoner, particularly when she thinks that Tyrion is responsible for the assassination attempt on Bran, and perhaps also complicit in the murder of Jon Arryn, Lysa's husband. She is right that Lysa will help her, but not for the reasons she thinks. Catelyn only thinks Tyrion is guilty because of Littlefinger's lies, and Lysa's infatuation with Littlefinger means that she will do anything to help him in his plan to set the Starks and the Lannisters against each other. Tyrion's capture may have been pure chance, but there was no way that Littlefinger and Lysa, who were surely in regular contact by Raven at this time, would let the opportunity pass by. Down in King's Landing, Ned continues to serve as Hand to the King. The reason Robert asked Ned to serve in the first place was because he trusted him to tell him hard truths when everyone else simply took his word as law. We see this dynamic play out twice in this episode. The first time is a rather silly incident at the tourney Robert has ordered in Ned's honour. Robert wants to fight in it, and no one else seems to have been able to point out to him that if he did, then others would just deliberately lose to him. Even more to the point, Ned is the only one to point out that Robert is now so fat that his armour no longer fits him. More seriously, Ned later finds himself in a minority of one in the small council, standing up to Robert's orders when no one else will. Last episode, Ser Jorah discovered that Daenerys was pregnant, and being in Varys' pay, broke away from the Khalasar to send news of it back to Westeros. This is important news. While Viserys and Daenerys were homeless, friendless and exiled, they offered no real threat to Robert. But if another Targaryen child were born, particularly as the only child of the most powerful Khal in Essos, the threat of an invasion suddenly becomes a lot more real. Of course, this is the exact plan that Varys and his friend Illyrio have been hatching to return the Targaryens to power. Arya overhears them debating the potential timing of such an invasion while she hides in the dungeons under King's Landing. She tries to report what she heard back to her father, but so much of it was in coded language that the importance of the message is lost. We are left to speculate what Ned would have done with the information that Varys was plotting against the king. Back in the small council, Ned strongly opposes Robert's order that Daenerys be assassinated. In the books, I think this is because of a deeper secret that Ned holds, and I'll cover it in a future video. But here on the show, it seems to be simply a matter of honour for Ned. The idea of assassinating a pregnant young woman is repulsive to him. So he quits as Hand of the King, storming out of the council chamber and orders his household to start packing for the journey back north. This is another one of those what-if moments in Game of Thrones. If Ned had left then, there is a chance that war might have been avoided. He would never have discovered the truth of Joffrey's parentage, never been beheaded, and there is every chance that Tywin's pragmatic approach to politics would have led to a rather bitter peace, rather than the war that actually happened. However, as is so often the case in Season 1, it is Littlefinger who intercedes to bring events back on track for all-out war. He knows that the path most likely to produce conflict is for Ned to discover Cersei and Jaime's incest, and for him to tell Robert. So he persuades Ned to stay a while longer, to follow up one more lead in his investigation into the death of Jon Arryn. This lead is another one of Robert's bastard children, apparently at the last place that Jon Arryn went to before he fell ill. It is as Ned leaves here that Jaime Lannister corners him, enraged by the capture of his brother Tyrion. It is the injury that Ned receives here, from behind from a soldier, not from Jaime, that ultimately keeps him in King's Landing. The dynamics of this fight scene are fascinating. For all of their differences, there are clear similarities between them. Jaime is prompted into action in a bid to rescue his brother. Ned lies by saying that he authorized Tyrion's capture in a bid to protect his wife. Ned is horrified by Jaime's unnecessary killing of Jory. Jaime is annoyed by the soldiers' dishonorable disabling of Ned. For all of their antipathy, you can see the growing respect between them as they realize the other's abilities as a swordsman. There is one final scene in this episode that is worth highlighting. It is often overlooked, but I think its importance shouldn't be underestimated. We see Renly with Loras, his lover. Loras plants the seed in Renly's mind that he could be king. Renly might only be fourth in line to the throne, but he would be a better and more capable king than any of those before him, says Loras. If Loras hadn't suggested it and offered the Tyrells support, then we wouldn't have had the War of the Five Kings, but the Four Kings. The Baratheon forces would have been united, and the Tyrells might have thrown their weight behind Stannis, not the Lannisters. The Battle of the Blackwater at the end of Season 2 would have been very different. Stannis and Melisandre may have established themselves in King's Landing, never visited the Wall, and the course of Westerosi history could have looked completely different. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you want to see more like this one, please click the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, please check out my Patreon page. Thanks again. That's all for this time. I'll see you again real soon.